Tip number one, the real bottleneck for masterworking is not the Obdicite like you would think it is, because you can get a ton of this from Inferno Hordes very easily, even in Torment 3. The real bottleneck is actually the Forgotten Souls, both because you need it for the masterworking, but you also need it for re-imprinting legendaries. So where do we get Forgotten Souls fairly easily, since it's the major bottleneck for the season? The short answer is the Blood Maiden. You will kill the Blood Maiden and you get 3 Forgotten Souls every single time if you do not contribute a heart. If you do contribute one of the hearts to summon her, then you will get 6 of the Forgotten Souls. You also get Cinders at the same time. You can turn it into any of the chests around the Hell type, which also give you Forgotten Souls. This is the fastest way, especially if there's other players in the vicinity. However, if you need both Obdicite as well as Forgotten Souls, then do Inferno Hordes, as that would drop some of them, but the Blood Maiden is technically the fastest way to farm the souls right now. There is, however, one other way that's a little bit slept on. You can see right here, there's a salvage material cache that would drop in your bartering menu from the Mercenaries. Now, these do cost your bartering coins, which are a little bit more rare, and I prefer using these coins to try to collect the aspects that you're still missing, or better, rolls of the aspect you're missing. However, in a pinch, you can actually acquire some materials here. You can see I got 4 Forgotten Souls just like that. Because these materials are so rare, you really want to be careful about masterworking everything up early in the game. If you're still progressing, you don't have greater affixes, affixes, etc. yet, because when you crunch something, you do get some of the Obdicite back, but the Forgotten Souls are not coming back. To give you an example of this, here's one I've already masterworked 4 times. When I crunch this, you're going to see I got my Obdicite back here. I got my, Sig Joes and all that, but I even got my gym back, but I did not get more of the Forgotten Souls. Tip number 2, one of the hardest things to farm in the game is the correct legendary runes. For instance, I need 6 of these Lith runes if I want to be able to craft the specific mythic legendary I want, Tyrio's Might. Well, these are pretty hard actually to get, but the way I got most of my legendary runes was through doing later Torment boss kills. So what I would recommend is when you're going through and doing your things like the season journeys or your the seasonal reputation, they give you a whole bunch of these boss material mats. It might be really tempting early in like Torment 1 to start spamming these bosses to try to get a couple of the uniques for your build, but I would actually wait and try to get them another way through the Undercity, maybe just standard farming, because these boss materials are fairly rare later on and take a while to farm, and the higher torments have a much better chance of both giving you what you're looking for, giving you mythic uniques, but also these legendary runes I got from farming the higher torment bosses as well. The drop rate's better. So personally, I would save your boss material mats for the higher tier so you can get the runes that you're looking for. Otherwise, it might take you a really long time to get these runes. For instance, this Lith rune, like I said, I need 6 of them, and people are spending like 200 million, 250 million gold like per Lith rune right now. So they're actually quite valuable as well, which then you could sell them on the open market if you want to somebody in game in the trade chat here. They'll buy your legendary rune, and you could take that gold and literally buy the unique you're looking for anyway. Tip number 3, let's say you're absolutely blasted and you got yourself a good character, you're feeling pretty good. In fact, maybe you're ready to make a second character, or at least you want something else to do with your main character. What you can do is actually start farming uniques for other classes by going to chaotic uniques in the Undercity under the bargains here. If you do this one, it will drop uniques for any class. So I actually want to make a sorcerer next. So what I'm going to do is when I'm completely done with this character, I'm going to start farming the uniques that I need for my sorcerer by using my main character here and going to the Undercity. This just costs these murmuring oboes. I know I fuck up that word literally every time, but it only takes 50 of them, which is pretty easy to get these. I just run pits. You get a pretty good amount of them just through running pit, which will level your glyphs literally anyway, and then you can farm and get some uniques for other classes for when you make alts. Also, what's really nice, your Paragon level is actually across your entire account, so when you make your alt, it's actually going to be pretty strong, because you're going to have your Paragon levels and your uniques already ready for you. That plus the fact that you can craft mythic uniques through the strategy I was talking about getting legendary runes. And the legendary runes are really going to take you a while to get, all right? That's very much why the reason I think you should save your boss material mats. But you can get these mythics also through one of my previous tips, which was doing the season journey, which will give you one here. You can go and you can get season journey. You actually don't have to do all of these, by the way. You just have to target, it's like 80% of them basically. So do the easier ones. Once you've made some mythic uniques, that plus the fact you can farm uniques for other classes, the Paragon level goes across. It's actually just a really good season for making alts. So I just want to point that out. Also, just so we're on this topic real quick, I want to point this out. The Resplendent Spark was confirmed bugged by Blizzard for Lilith. So if you killed Lilith in Torment 1, 2, 3, or 4, basically just kill her at all, and you did not get your Spark. I also did not get my Spark. I had to crunch Mythic Uniques that I got as drops in order to get a Spark to try to craft a random one. So this will be patched and fixed. Make sure that once it is fixed, if you didn't get your Spark, just go kill her again to get it. So if this happened to you, you're not alone, and it will actually be fixed. Tip number 4, you can actually level 2 different mercenaries rapport at the same time. So if what you're trying to do is max out the rapport in order to get either as many coins as possible for the tip that I was giving you earlier, or get these caches, set one of them as the mercenary you're using and set the other one as the reinforcement. You will actually be able to level both of the rapport at the same time. However, keep in mind the rapport that you gain is 50% reduced for the person in the reinforcement slot. So what you want to do is the one that you need the rapport on the most, you put as the primary. Tip number 5, this is actually quite strong. When I was talking about in my previous video that the Obos from the Murmuring Vendor is actually really strong for getting uniques and greater affixes, you can basically farm your entire build from it because it's targeted spot. But this one gives you a 40% chance of getting twice as minty items, which is basically just a 40% buff to the amount of Murmurings that you can acquire, more or less. So this is a very strong bonus if you're trying to get your build together. In fact, the bonus experience is quite nice and the bonus remnants is quite nice, but if you're struggling to get a very specific item you need, you might just want to max this one out first with your Smothering Ashes. You'll eventually be able to max literally all of them out anyway, but I think this one early might be nice for target farming gear. And the final bonus tip, there are free cosmetics going on right now. You can get all of these for free. All you gotta do is click on the link, come by the live stream, and watch for a few hours. If you're not someone who likes watching these live streams, you can literally just mute the tab, minimize it. In 3 hours, you have your free cosmetics available for you to log in and try out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. Hope these tips helped you. Short and sweet, and we'll see you on the next one.